Jack Randall was born October 29th, 15 days before the Wall Street crash. He was not the reason that started the Depression of the 30s. Thus, there wasn't any work and many people were on welfare. A friend said his father in Connecticut trapped pigeons on his roof for food. We lived on a farm and usually had food. President Roosevelt started to make work projects such as CCCs to build roads and do reforestation. This went on until World War II and brought the country out of the Depression, and everyone had work or went to the service.
Kennedy assassination. When JFK was assassinated, he was sure that the Russian KGB was behind it all. Although it came out that President Kennedy had a contract out on Castro's life, which could have had something to do with it, Oswald was kicked out of Russia and was possibly an agent of Cuba.
This was the Cuban Missile Crisis. When Castro came to power and Cuba became a communist country, the USSR took them under its wing and the USA blockaded them. The USA was building missile bases in range of Russia, so they decided it would be a good idea to have a base 90 miles off Florida. The USA, with surveillance flights, determined the USSR was building a missile base in Cuba and had a missile on a ship headed for Cuba. President Kennedy agreed to abandon a base if Russia would give up on one in Cuba. That way the standoff was resolved.
The Nixon scandal. In his perspective, he said President Nixon should have been allowed to finish his term as president. The Watergate scandal was the scheme of his aides. Nixon and Kissinger expanded trade with China, which may not have been to our advantage.
During the Reagan conservative era, his trickle-down theory of giving tax breaks and financial favors to the wealthy would benefit all, but it just didn't trickle down. Thus, the rich got richer and the poor got poorer, and the middle class paid the bill. As far as Reagan ordering Khrushchev to tear down the Berlin Wall, he believes reuniting Germany in 40 years was an agreement made in Yalta by Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin, not Reagan.
The gas shortage. In his opinion, there was no gas shortage. He had a nephew that was stationed was an engineer on a tanker that was cruising up and down the East Coast, and on that tanker there was loaded with gasoline, and there was no storage tanks to unload it in. Because they were all full, they had planned to go offshore and unload the gas so that they could bring a boatload of wheat to Russia. But A.B. Trench Company agreed to take all the gas at the last minute. And the Vietnam War. In his perspective, the war never should have happened. Nothing was gained. The domino theory of losing all the eastern countries to communism was a mistake. The politicians wouldn't let the generals fight that war. He had a relative in that war that had lost his life. In his perspective, he was very angry with the way it ended. 50,000 men died and nothing was gained. This interview was done by Jack Randall, in case you didn't already figure that out.